Fear says that your benefits can vanish any second, but the truth says that there are laws, protections, and due process all to protect this rating as it is.
And in a moment, I'm going to reveal exactly how you can protect your rating from the VA in 2026.
The risk of losing your disability benefits in 2026 has never seemed higher. If you happen to be new here, my name is Lukas Simianer. I'm a Purple Heart recipient from the War In Afghanistan, former paratrooper from the 82nd Airborne Division. I'm the CEO and founder of VetClaims.AI, a company that's almost 200 people big, helping over 4,000 veterans a month. What you need to understand is that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, and I'm also not going to sensationalize it. I do promise you that I'm going to leave you with a checklist that will help you feel safe, secure, and prepared for whatever comes in 2026 with all the VA debates.
Here's how we're going to do it. I'll break down what's actually allowed when it comes to work and income on the regular scheduler ratings versus IU. I'll walk you through how to legally stack and maximize benefits. We'll rapid fire myth versus facts and then go through my how to keep your shit checklist. Plus, I'll take you through exactly what to do if the VA ever tries to reduce you in 2026 or beyond.
There's two truths that are involved in this, and they easily get tangled into one, unfortunately more often than I'd like. What's allowed when it comes to work and income? If you're rated under the regular schedule ratings, which is 70% PTSD, 40% for back, 10% for tinnitus, whatever, you can have any rating, 100% to 0%. If you're rated under the regular schedule of ratings, then you can make as much money as you want. Now let's dig into what causes the confusion here, and that's TDIU, Temporary Disability Individual Unemployability, also called IU for Individual Unemployability. Now, what is TDIU and who is it for? Well, TDIU is essentially saying I can't keep or gain and maintain a job. In that case, TDIU, what that does is it says, well, you've got 50% on the regular schedule ratings, but we're going to pay you like you're 100% because you're unemployable. If you're on IU, this is where the myth and the rule comes into play that you can't earn more than X and still get that unemployability. The way that the actual law is written is it states that if you're on IU or TDIU and you start earning above a full-time non-sheltered wage, that will trigger a review. What is a sheltered wage? Ultimately, what it means is like a sheltered wage or a sheltered employer, they're going to make accommodations for you left, right, up, and down. But you are never going to have to do something that violates your disability. But if you go get a full-time job and you're on TDIU, it's going to trigger a review. They're going to end up taking the TDIU, and then even worse, you could end up owing the VA money back. So that is where this myth comes from. The simplest way to break this down for you is if you're on the regular schedule ratings, you don't have to worry about how much money you make because it doesn't matter. But if you're on TDIU or IU, it does matter, and it's pretty much saying you're not going to work again. That is the difference. One thing that veterans do overlook is that, let's say you are a grunt and you get out of the military, right? And you were wounded, you were injured. And being a grunt, the only thing that you're really qualified for is like manual labor jobs, right? That's what I did, being the cable guy, doing whatever. And let's say that your disabilities limit you from doing those jobs. Now you want to go to college. This is where I'm about to show you a hack to maximizing your benefits while you're in college. You cannot work the jobs that you're currently qualified for. So you must go to college to gain new skills and be able to enter the workforce in a job that does work with your disabilities. So at that point, you can file for TDIU. Let's say you're not at 100% yet. You can file for TDIU, get that IU, and you can go to college full-time and use your GI Bill. But wait, there's more. On top of this, the Social Security Department has SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. On top of that, they've got the Wounded Warrior Program, which doesn't do anything besides expedite the SSDI claim. But you can be going to college using TDIU, so getting paid at 100%, using your GI Bill, so you're getting the housing allowance, the book allowance, and all that stuff. And then you can also be using SSDI because none of the TDIU income nor the GI Bill income counts as actual income. So SSDI will be fully paid to you. Depending on where you live, you could be almost making 6 figures while going to college. And this is something that not enough veterans talk about. And none of that is illegal. None of it's in the gray area. That's literally how those benefits are meant to be leveraged. Use these benefits to maximize yourself, not be in debt, get a skill, get a trade while in college, and then exit. You get off a TDIU properly, you cancel your SSDI properly so you don't end up owing them money, and then you obviously have expended your GI Bill, you'd go get a job. And you know what? Keep fighting for your rating to be increased and get the rating you deserve. It's that simple. And that is how you can make almost 6 figures going to college. Now, let's talk about some of the fear-mongering that's been going on. And some of the biggest, loudest voices out there have been talking about how the presumptive condition, PACT Act, is closed. How it might be coming to an end. How all those claims could just be washed away into the ether. Don't worry, because yours won't be. What is going to happen? What could happen, right? We can say, okay, we're done with this PACT Act bullshit. Like, presumptives were the presumptives, but no more, right? Well, okay, that's going to take a year plus to be enacted and be actionable. And then from there, what's going to happen, right? Well, nothing. Nothing if you've already got your rating, right? They're not going to go back and retroactively take that rating away. It existed because of evidence. They would have to reduce it because of evidence, and they would have to reduce probably 90% of the people that are in the VA right now. And that's just not something that they can sustain, do, or would want to do in the first place. So don't let the fear-mongering get you. The rules could change, right? But changes don't vaporize benefits. It's that simple. So don't freak out, and don't listen to people that fearmonger. Let's dig into some rapid-fire myth versus fact. Now, this is a fun one, and I want you to play along with me. And I also want you to drop in the comments if you got any of these right, okay? The VA is deleting all ratings 60% or under. Well, it's a myth. So what's the fact? Well, there's going to be no blanketed reductions, right? Reductions require evidence, and each one of those reductions would be individualized for the person, and there would be due process involved with them. Okay, myth or fact? Saying the right words gets everyone 100%. Myth. Ultimately, using the right words is a way to remove ambiguity from your claim, because the veteran needs to understand how to describe their symptoms in a way that correlates with the schedule ratings. You still have to have the diagnosis, you still have to have the evidence, and you still have to have the impairment levels that register with that schedule. So that's the fact. Myth or fact? If I get a job, I'll lose everything. Well, I hope you've been paying attention, because then you'll know that getting a job, making a certain amount of money, it has no bearing on your VA rating. If you are on TDIU or IU, then yes, getting a normal job could affect your rating, and you should get legal advice. Myth or fact? If the VA schedules an exam, I'm doomed. So that's myth. What's fact is if the VA schedules an exam and I have not prepared for it, I'm doomed. Are we ready? It's the Keep What You Earn checklist. Now, what we're going to be talking about is the how to keep your shit checklist. Number 1, keep treatments current. If you're worried about the shit, make sure you're going to the doctor. Get the care that you need. Number 2, document your symptoms over time. Keep a log. If you ever get called back to the table, the VA is like, oh, we think that the gunshot wound you had in Iraq got better, bro. Then what you can do is open this up and say, no, I cry every night and I listen to the best hits of Jennifer Aniston's failed music career. 3, attend every single VA contractor exam, even if you don't want to. If they contract a CMP exam for you, attend it. If you don't attend it, it's like not going to court, except instead of putting out a warrant for your silly ass, they're just going to deny you. 4, bring key records to exams. Do not show up to your CMP exam with a stack of papers this big. If it's a CMP exam for your knee, find the piece of paper that shows, hey, in the Army, I hurt my knee. You don't need to bring more than 2 or 3 things. Pick the 2 or 3, maybe the 5 most powerful. Be efficient, be smart, bring key records. 5, be accurate, not heroic. Don't minimize your bad days and don't aggrandize the good ones. Talk about these flare-ups. Talk about how your worst days are. I don't care if that CMP exam day it is the best day you've had in 6 months. In fact, it probably will be. And that's just how life works sometimes. But when you go into that CMP exam, make sure that what you're stating, make sure that what you're displaying, make sure that what you're expressing and showing is indicative of what your worst days with that disability are like. Don't push past where it hurts. Don't push to where it hurts. Tell them it hurts if I go further. These are the big things that you really have to internalize. 6, know your status. Are you P&T? Are you on IU? And when was your last rating decision? And why do you need to know these things? Because I said so. If you're not P&T, you need to know that because it means that you could be subject to a reevaluation. You need to know if you're on IU, because if you're on IU, then that means you shouldn't be working a normal job. Then you need to know when your last VA rating decision was, because that's what tells you when these guardrails start to come into effect. Well, that's just an extra peace of mind. You don't have to hyper-focus on these things. You don't have to think about it every day. In fact, I really hope you don't. But you do need to know these things to make sure you're on top of your ratings and protecting your ratings properly. 7, this is one that I've been bad at myself. Keep your contact info updated. If the VA sends you something like a reevaluation notice, the worst thing in the world could be them sending it to the wrong address and you never seeing it. Therefore, you never rebutted it. You never appealed it. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're getting reduced and you don't know why. Make sure your shit is up to date in the VA portal. Number 8, if your conditions worsened, look at the schedule of ratings. That is when you file for an increase. If your conditions worsen, talk to somebody, talk to a rep. Talk to a VSO, talk to VetClaims.AI, do what you need to do, get the rating you deserve, and don't just sit idly by as your disabilities get worse. Number 9, if you improve, do not feel guilty. If you get better, if you learn how to control this, if you've put in the work, if you've spent money going to physical therapy, if whatever, right? You find a way to help your body improve, or at least let that disability be less of a hindrance to you, don't feel guilty or bad or like you shouldn't have a rating. That's not the case whatsoever. Just keep doing your best to get better. Number 10, finally, and this is the big one, save everything. Save your letters, save your decision letters, save your military records, save your service treatment records. If you get private provider records, save those too, right? You never know when you're going to want to dig into this I love me box and pull something out to protect the rating that you have, to prove that you've had the rating for X amount of time, to prove income, to prove whatever, right? There's any number of reasons that you want to save all this stuff. But out of all the things you throw away, don't throw away documentation from the VA. I want you to understand that fear says that your benefits can vanish any second of any day. But the truth says that there are laws, protections, and due process all to protect this rating as it is. And then there's also the smart steps that you can take, many of which we've highlighted in this exact video. So keep your records tight, your exams attended, and your rights in your hand, right? You've earned these benefits. You've earned the right to participate in the American dream. Now it is on you to advocate for yourself, engage with people that are allies like us here at VetClaims.AI, and get moving on the life that you desire to live.